Namaskar from the channel The Consultant's View. We all know about UNSDG, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 SDGs and 169 targets are part of transformative agenda for sustainable development adopted by 193 member states. India is also a part of it. She is determined to play a crucial role in global contribution. The government supports Niti Aayog, union ministries, and state governments in their efforts to address the interconnectiveness of the goals. The ministers have been entrusted the task of coordinating the SDGs, mapping the schemes and their targets, and identify lead and supporting roles, developing national indicators for SDGs, etc., which are relevant pathway along the roadmap for achieving the goals. The three pillars on which the sustainability development works are economic, social, and environment. Green energy is one of the transformative sectors which has direct positive influence on the environment, also indirectly upgrade economic and social indicators. Up to this, we are quite aware of. Where our general knowledge has dearth of is in the infrastructure part of the development of green energy sector. It is the backbone for the achievement of the goals. Our topic of discussion today is overview of infrastructure development for green energy initiative. Our guest today is Mr. Srirup Mitra. Namaskar, Mr. Srirup
Namaskar.
Mitra. Let me introduce Mr. Srirup Mitra. Mr. Srirup Mitra is a chartered engineer UK, have more than 22 years of professional experience. He has graduated in civil engineering from Nagpur University and done masters with distinctions in beach engineering from University of Surrey, UK. He has been in the multidisciplinary engineering consultancy and worked in transportation, water, and energy sectors. He has experience of handling several challenging and infrastructure projects in UK, India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Malaysia. Recently, he is working as regional manager of environment, water, and energy sector in a reputed consultancy firm based in USA, having a firm footing in India. He is associated with various engineering societies, including Institution of Civil Engineers UK, American Society of Civil Engineers ASCE, the Institution of Engineers India. He is also the reviewer for Institution of Civil Engineers UK. Yes, Mr. Srirup.
Thank you for having me for this session.
Yeah, Mr. Srirup, you are looking super smart today.
Thank you.
That I should say. Okay. I have drafted a few questions for you. So, hope
Of course.
Hope you,
please.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, nowadays, we all know in general what green energy is
Yeah.
and its importance in the present context. What we do not realize in depth is the complexity in the infrastructural part or the infrastructure development for the green energy initiative.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If now, would you please elaborate your views on this? It is for the viewers.
Of course. So, developing and green energy infrastructure is indeed a complex one, and it includes several parts or components into it. Most important is the technological integration, which is actually involving the renewable energy like solar and wind into the existing grids, power grids, and this involves advanced technologies and smart grid integrations to do this integration to the present scenario. And further to this, a very important aspect is the government involvement, which is the policies and regulations. So supportive policies and regulations are essential for actually inviting, or you can say attracting, investments to this sector.
Okay.
And further to this, another aspect is the storage of the energy, because as you would appreciate that wind and solar both are intermittent sources. So there is a reasonable amount of energy storage requirements to give a continuous supply of energy for these sectors. And last but not the least, which is more important, is the stakeholder collaboration. So since this involves government, industry, and academia, so a lot of these three verticals, you can say, integration in the whole implementation of the sector is an essential part of the system.
So you mentioned these three elements, vertical sections. So
Yeah.
can you repeat those again?
Yeah, it's basically important part of the industry, you can say. The government, which is one important
that's
part, industry,
stakeholder, yeah.
which will be doing the investment and thing, and the academia, who are doing the research work and this thing. So in proper integration about these three is essential for the successful integration of the infrastructure development.
Yeah, you told just the policy issues of the government.
Yeah.
So how far it is? It is progressing, or it has already
No,
been?
it has been in place already.
Okay.
So government of India has done a lot of initiatives, and through the state governments, they are implementing those things. So policies and frameworks are definitely in place, but of course, a more supportive development is expected. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now my next question will be, would you please give some examples, simple examples, be specific on the infrastructure part for green energy initiative?
Okay, so to start with, this mainly involves three different renewable sources, you can say, and there are more, but those are more highlighted are the solar, wind, and the green hydrogen.
Green
So
hydrogen,
yeah,
the
so
government
these
is
are the
talking
basic
about.
so these are the basic three sectors which are, apart from that, biogas of course is also a source, and there are some other also. But then these three are the main sources which are being talked upon. And again, for these, the more important is the smart grids and the allied advanced technologies that to be implemented. And also in these, the government initiatives are playing a major role. So the government of India are already putting down policies, and there are frameworks to support these systems. So that is an essential part to make this.
You just told the smart grids. So
Yeah.
can you just be, the grids means it is the
Yeah, it's
energy
the
grid.
power grid basically. So there are the existing power grids that are connecting the country across. So what is happening is in integration of the renewable sources. So the energy coming from the renewable sources like wind or solar, these are now being integrated to the existing power grid. So there are some advanced technologies required, and grid modernization is also taking place most parts of the country. So these advanced technology integration are being able that these intermittent power sources can also be added to the conventional power sources like thermal.
That means there will be a requirement of huge infrastructural part.
Yes, of course it is.
Okay, then good subject you chose.
Yeah.
Now regarding the challenges, because you have been on this field quite a few times, and would you like to please give some challenges, examples you faced, or rather you are facing in considering in the consulting job of the green energy infrastructure? Mainly focus on the consulting part.
Yeah, of course. So basically, a green energy initiative involves a lot of parameters, as I was mentioning. One of the main parameters are regulation and policies. So the challenges are, if the government policies are frequently changing, then it becomes difficult for the project to progress. So that is one area that we always focus on, and I think the governments are supportive enough to make that more stable nowadays. So under a stable framework, of course the project progress will be more efficient. Apart from that, there is a lot of logistics involved in these, and also the upfront investment. So to make that successful, you can say, technological proper integration, upfront investment by the investors, and also proper logistics, because these often involves major heavy components like the wind panels and the wind system.
Okay.
So these to transport these things from one place to
Yeah,
another, yeah,
logistical
it's a
support
lot of
is,
logistic work. Even for the solar, there is a lot of logistic work to make these solar parks. So a proper coordination about these logistics has to be done. Apart from that, again, I would reiterate the importance of the stakeholder collaboration, which is again government, academia, and industry. So these three has to collaborate in a proper way, and there has to be some framework developed so that the investments can flow through in a proper way and implementation can be done more smoothly. So
okay.
that's
So in
my
that
take.
case, in the consultancy job, that means all the three, whether it is done in holistically inclusive of all these three big sectors, I mean logistic and government
Yeah,
initiative.
all the
If the
parameters.
feasibility study has to be done, so all these things has to be accounted
Of
for.
course, of course. So all the parameters has to flow in sync to
Okay.
make this successful. And we as consultant are basically, you can say, we are the thread between the beads. So we are connecting all the segments. So coordinating for compliances from the government agency, we are connecting with the investors in the industry to make more investments and make these things compliant, you can say, in a proper way. And also what we are doing, we are doing academia collaborations for more development and research work. So we are, as consultants, we are the connecting line or the bridging the gap between all these three concept
And also it is a
verticals.
complex task also for a
Of
consultant
course,
because
it
there are
is.
all different sectors.
Yes, and it is actually a multidisciplinary involvement. Not only we cannot say that this is a single line or it is a only energy sector which are working on. So it's includes not only energy, but it includes environment. It includes various compliances, with maybe a social compliance, and also it involves other technologies, like if it is a big area where we are doing like a solar park or something, it might involve water departments also, like a drainage thing and this thing. So it's not only a single department or single sector which
As you told, logistics, my road department is also
road is
coming.
also so of course the approach has to be done, so it's
Yeah.
part of the transportation as well. So yeah,
Oh,
of course.
yeah, Mr. Srirup. My next question will be: we'll all know from from different news media and social media that government is working hard on promoting and propagating green energy initiatives, even subsidy maybe. Maybe government is also extending financial support for the green energy production in the country. As you are from the consulting part, I mean consulting society, focusing on the infrastructure part of the whole gamut, does any financial facility percolates to your consultancy also? Because there is a
Of course,
support,
it's,
financial support.
yeah. So not directly, but we are within the whole system.
The
So
whole gamut you are
yeah,
writing.
yeah.
Okay.
So indirectly, of course, we are part of the whole implementation work, that you can say. So government, of course, is providing a lot of initiatives, so that this is part of the green energy initiative basically, and they want to develop green corridors across the countries. So they have provided a lot of initiatives for the investment to be in, and we as consultant are involved from right from the pre-feasibility part. For any, say for example, we are creating a solar farm, so there are environmental compliances, social compliances, these are required. So those are, whenever a land is involved, that land
Yeah, yeah.
compliances need to be done. So we are involved from the right from the beginning, inception, right from site selection, site compliances, and then we go on to the engineering part and other detailing part when we
You
implement.
just told a green corridor.
Yeah.
So can you just explain what is the green
So
corridor?
basically, the power grids that presently is there,
Okay, that
so that
corridor
has,
through which the
has
okay.
been being upgraded as green. So basically, when we are talking about renewable energy, we are talking about decarbonization, we are talking
Yeah, yeah,
about less carbon footprint and so on.
yeah.
So that's why the green term is coming from that background, that
Okay.
it is less carbon, and so yeah.
Okay, let me break down this question a bit more. So my what I want is that the government is giving financial support also.
Yeah.
Okay, So my question is, suppose as a consultant, when you are bidding for this,
Yeah.
so whether you are getting any advantage in principle. Uh,
Not directly, but this is coming, as I mentioned, that we are part of the system. So when we are bidding for a green energy, say a supervision work or maybe a compliance work, then we are already part of that
okay, so
bidding system.
automatically it
Yeah.
is okay.
So
Okay,
it is automatically funded somewhere, and
okay,
we are part of that.
okay, Mr. Shrirup. I understand this subject encompasses a variety of professionals from different fields of engineering and science, right from environment, metallurgy, electrical, mechanical, civil, hydrology, meteorology, chemical, etc., etc. All those streams are coming in. So it also requires a robust supply chain, as you told,
Yeah.
which obviously involves a different set of professionals. So now, if any client requires a green energy specialist, okay,
Yeah.
or green energy consulting specialist, so how the candidate or the firm should be equipped with professionally, or at least the master in the subject academically.
Yes, it's a very good question actually.
Yeah, because if I am the client, I want
Yeah.
to make some green energy initiative.
Yeah.
So whom I should search for?
Yeah, so actually, to be honest, this is a wide area. It's not a specific directly line that you can just go and pick an
That means
expert
it's a
on this.
challenge from the government side
So it's a
also.
challenge from the government side
Yeah, yeah,
also, and it involves multidisciplinary
yeah, yeah, yeah,
activities,
yeah.
and also involves multidisciplinary experts to be involved in this. To be specific, there are few academic courses that can be done, like there are sustainable energy initiative by some of the new international universities, and we can, any background, engineering background person can do these certifications and courses. So it's more or less a post graduation, you can say that way. Or there are energy institutes internationally who
Okay.
actually gives charterships also for
Chartered
this,
Civil?
on energy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
energy institute is there.
That's a good
So
information.
yeah, so the point is that it is not that you can be of a specific background.
Mhm.
A background can be a common one, but obviously you can specialize on a
Okay.
particular department.
Okay.
But then again, I will go back to my original statement that it's a multidisciplinary involvement. So even if there is a specific expertise on a particular subject, it is not that you can just do ahead with that particular person. It's a team that you need to implement
Yeah, yeah,
such
yeah.
work. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, it's a real challenge.
Yes, it's a
It's a real
challenge.
challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me go to the next question. Do you think in that case, in pursuance to your earlier reply, infrastructure development for green energy shall be made to evolve as a separate subject as a whole, separate expertise subject as a whole?
Yeah. There.
Because when you say because there is no common one, so
Yes.
whether it can be make a separate.
So actually, there are a lot of strong arguments on
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
So and
so
there
let's argue on this also.
so there is one school of thoughts that should be a separate expertise, and that should start as a separate subject altogether, or separate department altogether,
Subject is from where?
as an
UG level
energy,
and UG level.
as an UG level.
Okay.
And then you can say it might be a, like power engineering, it can be an additional to the power engineering for the green energy. But then to be on the justified basis, since it involves a lot of discipline, so it cannot be directly, you can say, close to a single department. So it involves, as you mentioned, starting from chemical
Yeah,
to
yeah, chemical, everything,
environment to
everything.
water and to energy, powers, electrical, everything. It is
Structural also,
structures
mainly.
also, of course. And so this has to be a multidisciplinary subject.
Okay.
And to me, as a consultant, I would rather say that there can be a specialized course for maybe post graduation or doctorate level. So people can be more expertise on that, but as a base subject, it is better that base subjects remains the one of the core subjects as it is.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a more judicious way to take this forward, because this is involves such a wide spectrum of other topics. So it is never possible that in an undergraduation level that a person can appreciate the whole aspect of it. So
Yeah.
it's more better that it's kept to the post graduation or the doctorate level.
As it is, we are in the environmental engineering post
Of
graduation.
course,
So
of
civil can
course.
come, mechanical
Yes,
can come.
yes. It's
It's
similar to
open to
that
chemical
because it's
also.
a more professional and implementing subject, to be
Yeah, yeah.
honest. It's rather than
Yeah.
a core subject to be studied.
Okay. As you are working in this field, you have much more overview on green energy infrastructure. Based on your knowledge, what would be your advices to the young professionals, engineering students, most importantly, university faculty?
Yes, I would really love to add to this. So, definitely the green energy subject has to be incorporated in the curricula. That is one of the must thing, because it's a developing subject and it's there actually. So it is being implemented, and one of the important part of sustainability is that we acknowledge the renewable sources and we acknowledge this implementation. So it has to be in the academic syllabus. Uh, Judiciously, it should be incorporated, and you can say not to a specific department, rather it should be distributed for all
Okay.
departments that way. Uh, for the academics part, this is for the industry. I would rather say that we should more focus on the implementation of renewable energy and a little more awareness, I would rather say, because it's still not much aware for the core old industries. So we should be more implementing the renewable sources into all the sectors of the industry. That will ensure that the proper involvement of scopex reduction and the implementation of sustainability. So this is what we have to do. Even if you are referring to the previous COP 26 and other global
Corporate,
summits,
yeah,
yeah. So there also people are talking about sustainability. People are talking about net carbon zero.
yeah, yeah.
So to one of the part to achieve that is that the energy sources that we are using, to make that more green and renewable. So to make that happen, people have to be, or the rather industry has to be more aware, because they are using the most of the energies. So that would be my advice or
Yeah.
suggestion for the
Okay.
industry. Yeah.
Okay. You, through this green energy infrastructure, are directly contributing to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in many ways. How do you feel it?
Of course, we are trying as a consultant. We have got a very core responsibility to ensure the ESG, social governance,
Okay.
and through following the green energy initiatives, or rather being part of those initiatives, we are trying to do our part as a consultant. And also, as the sustainable development goals, one of the main key elements are the clean energy, and these renewable energy are part of those. So by through, you can say, being part of the industry or the consultancy firms, we are trying to make the energy sources more green and to be aligned to the SDG goals in
Okay, tell
such.
me, because the government and the total gamut is going for this green energy, and a lot of infrastructure is required, as
Yeah,
you are the consultant for those
yeah,
infrastructures. So a lot of involvement, financial support, and
yeah,
cost is involved.
yeah.
So whether you do the financial analysis part of this for the maybe least cost analysis for the long
Not
term.
as such.
Okay.
We do the costing for a project, but we don't do any forecasting of a
Or
project.
analysis. What I
No,
mean to
no.
say that you are.
But what we do is that if organization in wanting to invest, and there is a proper framework, and there is you can say mind to do a green energy initiative, then we handhold them as a project program manager.
Okay.
So right from the site selection to the implementation, commissioning, and also you can say the basic budgeting part,
Okay.
what will be the costing of implementation, that we help on. But we don't do any type of, say, financial analysis or forecasting. That is not in our forte basically.
Okay. But if it is included in your part, you means not specific to you.
Yeah.
If this consultancy
As a
part,
consultancy world, you can say there are other organizations who do this, and of course this is also required. So that is being dealt in a separate by a separate firm or
entity or
consultancy entity. Yeah. But we as our organization, we directly do the program management right from the site selection to commissioning, and also some operation maintenance, O&M part also we sometimes do.
Okay, so what is the future you see for this consultancy?
Future is actually very bright, and it's growing. So it's an emerging market, and there are many sectors of, even within the country, there are very many regions which have just started doing this. So the future is very bright, and there is a lot of possibilities to grow. So next, you can say, even I would just mention the government of India's initiative, that they have got a very big goal for 2030, and then onwards to 2047. So I think with these government supports and state governments initiatives and proper framework in place, I think a lot of investments will come, and to make those investments possible, consultants judiciously implementing those investments. So consultants like us will be involved, and our main work to get involved is more to properly implement these works. So there is a knowledge gap presently, and
that's
us being a big organization, we have those expertise, so we can put in those experts very quickly to bridge the gap and to handhold the investors. Not only the investors, we also can do supports to the authorities in some place where we are doing maybe the supervision work or the other sort of program management work. So through this, what I am confident that we have a very bright and prospective future, and this sector will definitely grow in future.
You told about client or the government,
Yeah.
then consulting agencies, future investors also are coming. What about the contracting part? Because contractors part, because there are a lot of different types of works involved.
Yeah.
And contractors are basically in different types. Some are from all electrical or transmission, some are civil, some are don't you think there will be, maybe because as it is multidisciplinary work, so making a good contract,
yes, of
or
course,
good tender,
so
which encompasses all the sectors, don't you think that is
it's absolutely a very important aspect? And we as consultant, we also support the government for contracting and implementing the projects. So you can say the tendering process, tender evaluation. So there are many aspects where we support governments as a program manager. And for as long as the contractors concerned, it is, of course, for them also it is a very bright future, because this is an emerging market and a lot of things are happening. So many of the contractors are also diversing their fields into green initiatives, just to support this initiative. And with the proper government framework and also the funding sources, definitely it is a good point of contractors to grow in this field. So definitely it is a positive area where the contractors should grow.
Have you felt anything? What's the response of the startups on this field? So
the startups are more about product. What I would say, it might be something else also in the services, but it is more about the product. And since the solar, especially for the solar, there are a lot of startups coming up, and they have made good mark in the market into solar industry. And when I am talking about large infrastructure for green initiative, we also should appreciate the government initiatives and also the private sector regarding the rooftop solars.
Yeah.
So there are many initiatives which encompasses that even for a single household, for a remote village, they can take the advantage like rooftop solar, so that they don't depend on any of the power grids
Yeah,
or
and it's part of their requirement will be fulfilled.
yes, exactly. Even I would just mention one thing, just as we are discussing, Sundarban has got more than 25 microgrids, and those are, you can say, serving all the villages and remote areas in Sundarban area. So people who were actually having problem with electricity, now they have got surplus. So
Yeah,
that's one of the area which
great
can
achievement.
be great achievement. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Srirup.
Yeah.
We are coming to the end of our session. So I would love to make different podcast with you on specific topics,
Sure, of
maybe
course.
solar, wind separately.
Sure.
Anyhow, uh, in your eyes, what is how you see our initiative to make podcast on this topic with a consultant like you?
It is a fantastic initiative, very honestly.
Don't
And
say, don't try to please me.
no,
Just from your heart.
no, it
Just
is,
tell
it
me
is,
from your
it
heart.
is absolutely a fantastic initiative, and this is such a relevant and emerging topic, and the awareness in this is very essential.
Okay.
And people need to know that this is the only future they have, and initiative is not only a government term, it is a term that has to be adopted by everyone. So all the energy sources in future has to be green, so that the decarbonization is in place and net zero can be achieved. So
Yeah.
that is a very important aspect for Mother Earth to be happy again.
Yeah.
So very
Just before
honestly.
we end, another technical question. Can you explain what is net zero in short?
Net zero is basically we are not using carbon at all.
Okay. How?
So yeah, by reducing the sources, you can say. So like when we are using thermal power,
Mhm.
so we are depending on fuels which we are burning for the thermal. So that contains carbon. So when we are doing or using a thermal power plant or using the energy, indirectly we are releasing carbon to the atmosphere.
Mhm.
So that is where the carbon footprint concept come from. When we are talking about renewable sources, decarbonization means we are not using those sources which create or you can say produce carbon.
Okay.
So it is a greener source, means doesn't release carbon to the atmosphere or doesn't do pollution to the atmosphere. So this is the main concept of net zero. Net zero is a target to be
Yeah.
achieved, but
Yeah.
then the process to be achieved is not by releasing more carbon to the atmosphere or various sources. So any element that doesn't release can be a green
Okay.
energy. Yeah.
Or if I release a quantum of carbon,
Yeah.
that means another. If I plant some trees, which can
That is
replenish.
that
So can it be
is
also called?
it can be called, but then it is not a good way to call.
Okay. Okay. For on
So
this, we can make a separate
yeah.
discussion. So I want to know what are our gaps. So that we can in the next sessions we can overcome that.
Yeah. So basically,
Our means our podcast
yes,
gaps.
of course. Yeah. So basically, focusing on a too narrowly on a subject can be sometimes miss the essence of a broader insight.
Mhm.
But then I would definitely say this particular session we have covered. I expect at least
Yeah, yeah,
that we
yeah.
have
Obviously.
covered the topic more broadly than narrowly focusing on a particular area. So this definitely will mitigate the challenge, or you can say the
Okay.
point that I am pointing
Okay.
out.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Shiru, for your participation. So we
You're
would
most welcome,
like to
sir.
appreciate you, and it is a token of
Oh, thank you very
appreciation through
much. Thank
certificate
you.
of
Thank you.
participation. Thank you.